My name is Valerie Lampkin, and I work for IBM. I do Bloomix support for MQ Lite and the Internet of Things services. And what I'm going to present to you today is about how to quickly connect the Internet of Things devices to the cloud. So I imagine a lot of you already know about the Internet of Things. If I say IoT, then you know that's what I'm talking about. It's not going to the next slide. Okay, so here's the agenda that we're going to go over. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Internet of Things in the cloud and talk to you about what is Bluemix. That is IBM's cloud offering. It includes a dashboard, catalog, services, some documentation, runtimes, boilerplates, and recipes. The service Iot Foundation is IBM's offering for the Internet of Things that can be done either in the Bluemix or as a standalone that you can buy separately outside of Bluemix. It's powered by a message site technology and runs on software, and it stores the info in the historian database. We use the Mqtt Protocol, which I'm going to talk about a little bit, and you can do both the quick start and registered devices. We'll cover how Cloud Foundry, Docker, and VMs can be used in Bluemix, and we're going to talk about a little bit about Node-RED, which allows you to do a drag and drop application design for your Bluemix IoT application. I'll cover a little bit of troubleshooting and how you can use the DeveloperWorks DW Answers forum, and I'll show some real-world examples as well. So I'm going to go through these first few slides fairly quickly. I imagine a lot of people already know that about the Internet of Things, proliferation of devices just everywhere you go, and it's changing the way people interact. So now that we have these large amounts of data coming from everywhere, it creates a need for the system that can process the big data and provide some real-time analysis. And that's what we can help you do with Bluemix. So many people believe the money may be in the sensors for the Internet of Things, but truly it's going to be in the data and the subsequent analytics and the value from the data that your business can use. Sensors and other monitoring devices are now embedded into many different objects. The systems and processes in the globalized world, we have people, objects, and processes connecting and communicating with each other in entirely new ways these days. And leveraging the data that's generated provides the intelligence to help us do things better and improves the responsiveness and the ability to predict and optimize for future events. These are just some examples of how, the Internet of Things, how you get benefits from real-time data that you can do. You can monetize, optimize, or extend your current applications, and also control and remotely affect behavior. This is just a little cartoon I found where it says, these days everything you hear, the cloud is the answer to everything. And I think that's one of the main benefits is the elasticity that you have and that you can put all this big data into the cloud. So the Internet of Things Foundation is IBM's cloud offering, and it allows the Internet-connected devices to be integrated directly into Bluemix solutions. Bluemix is IBM's platform as a service offering. We're going to talk about what is PaaS, platform as a service, and discuss the difference between on-premise, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And I'll also go into the fact that Bluemix was originally introduced as a PaaS, but it has evolved a bit since then. So as I said in the other cartoon, where they were saying the cloud is everything. Well, at my house, my husband, kids think pizza is the answer to everything. So Albert Barron is an IBM Bluemix team member who came up with this idea to help people understand the differences between the types of service, where you can be on-premise, where you get everything, make the pizza at home, or like similar to infrastructure as a service, you would take and bake the pizza where you only do part of it, or you have the pizza delivered where you don't have to do a whole lot, but you still get to enjoy it. And then the SaaS is where everything's pretty much there, ready for you. You just go dine on a pizza in the restaurant and you're done. So when you do have on-premise, your business is handling everything. It's provisioning the hardware and the software. With Bluemix, it allows the developers to expedite their release times because they eliminate the need to manage and maintain the infrastructure. Bluemix allows the developers to focus on the code, without the worry for getting the hardware provisioned and the software installed. So IBM is handling those tasks for you, and you don't have to worry about any upgrades for the software that's handled by the Bluemix service. So by obtaining cloud services, you can increase your standardization and lower the cost and observe a faster time to value. And that's all this slide is showing. For customers who have confidential and sensitive data, they might be reluctant to use the cloud. So IBM has a dedicated Bluemix instance available, and the customers are provided with a private single-tenant instance of Bluemix running in the soft layer environment, and that's completely managed by IBM. So Bluemix really now is an integrated hybrid cloud platform. They have the public, and then they have the dedicated, and also they've just recently announced that they're going to have a local service available. So with the Bluemix public, dedicated, and the new local available, the customers can have Bluemix running wherever their business needs. And we envision that our customers will actually use a combination of the Bluemix dedicated and local as well as public. For example, an application can be developed and deployed in dedicated or local, but then they want to consume the services that are provided by that app into another app that's running in the Bluemix public. So with the three options available, they can really achieve a true hybrid cloud solution. And this is just also showing how Bluemix is now evolving to be more than just a public PaaS. The soft layer provided dedicated servers and managed hosting and cloud computing services. So the Internet of Things Foundation provides capabilities that include your device registration, connectivity, you're able to control and to rapidly visualize and store the data that comes in that is from the Internet of Things. The Iot Foundation lets your applications communicate with and consume the data from these remote devices and sensors. And your apps can use a real-time or a REST API to communicate with your devices, and they can consume the data that you set them up to collect. So first you get your device connected, then you can build an app that talks to your devices. For example, you might have a sensor that collects and sends the humidity readings or temperature every minute. And so the REST and real-time APIs allow you to pull that device data into your apps for further analysis. Let's just say, for example, if you had a trucking company and you were monitoring the temperatures in the truck, and so all that was being sent in to your cloud, well, you could monitor that real time and tell if the temperature in one of the trucks had dropped, and you could send an alert either out to the driver or to your main headquarters, and all that's just done remotely with your application. So here's the good thing: is it's free for 30 days. You get a free 30-day trial period, and you can sign up here at ibm.biz/rtpcloud. And I encourage you all to at least sign up and give it a try and for the first 30 days. So this is what you will see once you sign in. This is part of the Bluemix dashboard, and you see there's a Bluemix Boilerplate. And what that is, it's a runtime. It includes a sample application, and the boilerplate makes it really easy to get started. When you go into the IoT, the Internet of Things Foundation Starter Boiler Kit, that includes a Node-RED application and a Cloudant database. So you can try the sample flow. Even if you don't have a device, we provide a simulator that you can use so that you could still do applications and do testing with the simulator if you don't have a physical device. And you can customize you can take the sample flow that's given to you and customize it how you want to. So there are a variety of runtimes. You can use many different languages and runtimes available on Bluemix. There are also Watson Cognitive Analytics services that can be incorporated into your application. IBM provides various other services. There are some open source and third-party services out in Bluemix as well that you can use to integrate into your application. And some services may still be, you see here, like some of the Watsons are still in beta, so they'll put them out even though they're not GA yet so that you can try them when they're still in the beta version. Bluemix Part of the Watson services is an artificial intelligence enhanced system that does analytics, and it allows you to build cognitive apps to help you enhance, scale, and accelerate the human expertise that normally would be needed. So Cloud Foundry is at the heart of Bluemix. The open source technology enables the deployment of applications. It also allows you to scale and monitor them. And the Cloud Foundry Foundation brings open governance and ensures a consistent functionality and behavior across the core components and vendors. Now, IBM containers are powered by Docker and allow developers to package their applications and runtimes, and then they can deploy the containers on Bluemix. So you really, now you can build your apps your way. The IBM Container Service exists alongside the Cloud Foundry apps deployed in Bluemix. And that allows users to deploy the containers as they would any other app in Bluemix. So if you package up an app and a runtime with Docker, you can then deploy it on Bluemix using the container service. At the Internet Conference last month, it was now announced that users can now also create VMs in Bluemix, like you would get from an infrastructure as a software, like SoftLayer. So the VMs will live right alongside your Cloud Foundry apps and the Docker containers. The Iot Foundation is powered by message site technology, and if you're not familiar with that, that was an appliance that was created by IBM about 2 years ago. They announced it, and it would actually allow you to have 1 million concurrent connections, and you could run about 30 million messages per second. Because what we had found before is when the number of sensors and remote devices started growing so quickly, the back end was too much. Couldn't keep up. And so they came out with this technology that would be, it was an appliance that you could use as a gateway. And it can still be purchased. But what happened is it was really rather costly, and people didn't want to make that initial investment. So what they've done now is IBM has taken that same type of technology that's used in message site, and they have that running in the cloud for Bluemix services. So you can use that same type of technology without having to make the investment of buying the appliance. So that's just a little background on how we transition from message site into the IoT Foundation. But Bluemix allows you to integrate your IoT devices and the applications with other Bluemix services, and then you can create a complete end-to-end solution. When you create an IoT service in Bluemix, you then can bind it to your application. Now, as I said, it is a free 30 days, but of course, then it converts over to a pay-as-you-go. So we have different options. After the 30 days, there are different levels of bronze, silver, and gold. And as you send the data and it's stored in Historian, that's so that you could go back later and access it with a REST API. So if you're a paying customer, then you're going to get a longer retention period, such as 6 or 12 months. Whereas what so-called freemium customer, they're only saying to save your data for a month for you to come back and try to access that. And you always would have the option to download the data from Historian if you wanted before it's purged at the end of your retention period. So it's not like you couldn't save it off somewhere else if you needed to. The Bluemix website just has a wealth of documentation that help users get started, so it's very user-friendly, and not only with IoT, but with the other services as well. There are a lot of sample applications for you to try, and as I said, the easy way to get started with the IoT is to use the Quick Start device simulator if you don't have a device already. So when you connect to the Quick Start service, there's no authentication. And you can use a device to also use the Quick Start if you have it, but or you can use a simulator. And we don't really do authentication then. But if you're going to do authentication, then the device must first register to the Iot Foundation, and then you're going to later use this type of ID to authenticate, and you would give it you're going to get an org ID, which keeps your information separate from every other user in Bluemix, so that keeps them from being crossed over. That would be unique to your organization. So this here is just a little example I have here of a Raspberry Pi. Now I'll tell you, my desk is never that clean. Cleaned it up for this photo. But so I have a Raspberry Pi device on the right, just in case someone hasn't seen these before, but I know they've been demoing them in some other talks here this week. And on the left is Arduino. So the recipes that we have online can help you go from unpacking these devices out of the box to testing a live application. And what they say, and the developers say, you know, you should be able to do it in the time it takes to drink 2 beers. You should be able to get it out of the box and get your sample application going. So I think it depends on how fast you can drink a beer. But anyway, so here's the different IoT recipes that are out there now that are available to help you configure, connect, and to already visualize your device data. And then you can develop the applications to gather insights from the data. There are new recipes being added all the time, and we actually welcome people to become partners and to join the IBM ecosystem by contributing a new recipe. So if you have a device or something that's not already listed, there is some basic connection information where you can use that as a guideline. And I'll also be happy if you want to get more information about how to create your own recipe. Then you can. It's a great way to contribute a recipe if you are working with some devices that are already there, because the new recipe not only will demonstrate the technology of you as an IBM partner, but it's also just a great advertising and to technical how-to for other people to maybe use the same device that you're using. So the different recipe types we have here, they have the Use My Own Device recipe, which provides all the information and background that you need to create your own. And there's to do connectivity to the Iot Foundation service. You will need to use the Mqtt Protocol, because that's a protocol that we have used, IBM has chosen to use for the Internet of Things. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, about why we chose Mqtt and what that is what we used when we originally developed the message site appliance that is the same technology. So when a device is connected to the Iot Foundation, the data from the remote devices can be managed within the cloud. So you are able to then use predictive analytics and real-time processing. The Eclipse Pajo Mqtt clients can be downloaded from, if you're not familiar with the Pajo organization, but they have a wealth of different clients out there like C and Java that you can download for free, because they are open source, and use those to do some connectivity testing and develop some applications. There's also an IBM mobile messaging and M2M, machine-to-machine client package, which is called an MA9B, and it provides 2 Java client libraries. I think I do have the website down here, and that's if you want to actually connect your phone. You can also use this add-on to make it send with the Mqtt protocol. So you can also connect those to the Iot Foundation. It's not just for remote sensors. So connecting remote apps directly to a business's master data management backend system could create you challenges. So as the mobile applications scale, the load on the backend system would be continuously growing. And if you have to make a change on your system of record, then your mobile apps might experience an outage. So the system of engagement tier allows for the cloud to scale and to match up the information from the systems of record as well as the other cloud sources and the Internet of Things. So the Iot Foundation will enable you to securely connect your things to your applications. You can collect and manage a time series view of data from, and then you can assemble those into flows and process your data. The Node-RED is what we're going to talk about a little bit, that makes it very simple to get started and to create applications. And then you're able to also manage the connections and subscriptions. We do provide security. The Iot Foundation supports TLS. I'm sure most of you already know that SSL is a precursor to TLS. TLS is the current one that we support. So version 1.2 with the AES 128 cipher is what is supported with the Internet of Things Foundation. So how do we ensure that your devices connect securely? The Bloomix Iot Foundation utilizes API keys and a token to authenticate your client IDs. When you sign up your device and register it to the Internet of Things Foundation, you will be given your ID and token and key, and you'll save that in a secure place and use that in your later to connect. You can put it in a config file on your device so that when you start it up, it will automatically connect, or you can also use that from an application standpoint. So the TLS version 1.2 support is provided for connections utilizing the Mqtt protocol. And the Iot Foundation, the reason, one of the main reasons we use the Mqtt protocol is because it's really lightweight and doesn't require a lot of bandwidth, so it's great for remote devices and small, with small CPU capacity. And the Mqtt protocol is based on publishing messages and subscribing to topics, so it uses the pub-sub architecture. The Mqtt API is very simple. Basically, you can just connect, publish, subscribe, disconnect. That's really all you have to do to get your messages back and forth. So the devices that are located at the edge are able to participate in your overall architecture, because they can then become systems of engagement to allow you to reach out into the remote field and communicate all that data back into your enterprise system on the back end. So then you're reaching into your systems of record. And this allows you to create a complete end-to-end solution that includes all the Internet of Things devices. So the Mqtt Origins go back nearly 2 decades. Its co-inventor Andy Stanford Clark is an IBM distinguished engineer, and he was working with his industry partner Arlen Nipper. That was an American engineer who was an expert in embedded systems for oil field equipment, and they had these remote sensors out in the oil field that they needed to get the information in and also be able to maybe handle changes that needed to be enacted in the field and do that remotely. So together they wrote the initial version of Mqtt back in 1988, and they have continued to improve on this open source messaging software over the years. The Mqtt Protocol, which is message queue telemetry transport, and it was ratified as an OASIS standard back at the end of 2014. At this slide it says about 2013 that it was going to be considered, so this is a little bit old because the newer version is now considered an OASIS standard. And you can still use the older version, the 3.1, but the 3.1.1, both are supported by the Iot Bluemix. The new one has some enhancements, such as you can use longer client IDs and things like that, but they both can still be used. So the reason, like I said, Mqtt is the protocol that you need to use. With IBM chose it as the optimal protocol for its offering. It's an open, lean, simple, and reliable protocol that can be used. It allows you to do a simple, like I said, connect, publish, subscribe, disconnect. And I'll show you, I think I'll show later a little bit how basically when you're sending message to the Iot Foundation, you're actually putting them on a topic, and then you're subscribing to that topic to get the messages. So this is Node-RED, and that's what Node-RED is, a lightweight runtime that is built on Node.js. The Node-RED is a drag and drop feature that allows for easy implementation. I'm hoping to do a quick demo later to show you guys how you can do this in Bluemix. So basically you just are going to have these nodes available. When you start with the boilerplate, it will already have a sample flow for you. You can add on to it or adjust it. But you can, there are a lot of other things, maybe I'll show you that in the demo. So here's a sample, a simple one that I tested. And then whenever you make a change, you simply click the little at the top. When you make a change, the little deploy turns red. You just click that button, and there, it's already out there, out in the cloud, and updated your application just by one click. One of the things with the Bluemix being in the cloud is scaling. So you can increase the number of instances and the memory as needed. This is where the elasticity of the cloud really comes in handy. The Bluemix allows you to quickly develop and deploy your applications, and then later, as the load grows, you can scale it when your volumes increase. And basically, you just change the number of instances, and then click deploy again. You've got that separate instance running. Now, when you're in the Bluemix dashboard, if you have an application open, you'll see the add Git feature up there in the top. By clicking on that, then a Git repository will be created within Devops, and a Git URL will then be shown, like I show in the second one. So then when you are able to click on that and edit your code, you also get an email that will give you the project and the Git URLs to your inbox, because when you registered with Bluemix, you signed up with your email, so it has that, and when you use that to create a Git repository. It's going to send the links to you in your email as well. So clicking that button will link you over to Devops, and you can then edit your code inside the Git repository. So this allows you to do updates from Devops. Okay, so the IBM's Bluemix DevOps track and plan services are also something available within Bluemix that can be used to then create stories, tasks, and can describe and track your project work, and allows you to use agile planning tools to do your releases. One of the great features of Bluemix is the community. So if you need help, we have a Developer Works answer, and this is also, this is a free thing. I know a lot of developers use things like Stack Overflow. So what we've tried to do here with Developer Works is create something similar where you can go to it and get a wealth of knowledge and help not only from other developers who are doing it, but also we have IBMers who are monitoring that and for the Bluemix team and updating it. So when you click that community, you're taken over to the DW Answers website within Developer Works. And here you're going to see any questions that are tagged with Bluemix. They might also be tagged with other things such as IoT. And you can search and find, maybe if you're struggling with something might already have been answered out here. Or you're welcome to post a question, and like I said, people will be monitoring it and providing updates to you. So it's a good way to get some expertise from the people, like in this case, Nick O'Leary, I think, is really one of the creators of Node-RED. So he would go out, you have really a way to get back to the developers and get some questions answered quickly. Paying customers can also, once you sign up and you're a paying customer, you can also create a pair-chain or an RTC ticket the way that you might have done with other IBM support products. But you might still choose to go out to the Developer Works and search there. I mean, most people, don't we all, if you want to have a question, you search Google, because that's going to be quicker than opening up a ticket to support. And these answers out here are found in Google searches as well. So that makes it helpful and simple. So now I'm just going to give some quick examples. This was a hackathon example that was done, and it shows some emerging use cases of how you can use natural language to trigger a query of IoT data. So this is kind of called the idiot driver application. It's really called Pure Focus. But it uses the what you're familiar with, the in-vehicle human-machine interface, like the voice command, the steering wheel buttons, or radio buttons. And imagine you're driving down the road and some idiot cuts you off and swerves in front of you. So if you have this application that they developed at the hackathon on your smartphone, and it's going to be linked up with your vehicle sync app link unit. This is specific to Ford, I think this was developed with, but I think a similar approach could be done with other vehicles as well. So, and you hit the command button on your steering wheel and you basically say, report driver. So then you have a voice recognition system in the car that's going to say, what happened? So then the audio, you say, oh, some jerk just cut me off. So the app sends the audio clip back to our Watson analytics services, and Watson can interpret the language. Even if it's not as PG as idiot, it will still find and know what you mean. And so then you wonder, well, what is that going to do? So how do we know where they are, who you're talking about, who the jerk was? So they can determine then who the offending driver was based on their geolocation with yours and their steering maneuvers or speed or braking pattern. And all that data is coming in also from their vehicle with the same application. So if they have that application installed, then their profile is tagged with idiot event. And then they get that, so that decrements their safe driving score for that. And also what they did is they did some additional gaming things so that you could challenge your friends on Twitter to be safe drivers, etc. And this is just showing this application that they have was built on iOS using the IBM Bluemix, so Watson speech to text, Watson Concept Expansion Cloudant database, and the Iot Foundation. And they also created a demo using Brian Boyd's connected vehicle maps, so they could host it here to show like where the different cars and the drivers were and how the solution works. So another real-world example that actually has been in place. Well, these are just some examples of things that you might see already in the IoT world today, where things are being used for pay-as-you-go car insurance, where people are monitoring how you're driving how building automation, when they might need to turn the lights, heat on, etc., things like that. So you're probably all familiar, you know, IoT is getting very popular with connected cars, wearables, and health monitoring. But the one that we wanted to talk about was the challenges of boat racing, and a solution that was came up by Silverhook, Virtual Eye, and IBM. So the fans of the boat racing are on the shore, and then when the boats are out in the open water, either in the ocean or in the large lakes, the fans can't always see what's going on, and they can't really see what's happening. It's not as maybe it's exciting. It has some lulls, you know, and they only see the boat maybe pass by from time to time. Well, Bloomix IoT helped create a solution to allow the fans to be more engaged and to get the real-time updates from the boats, even when the boats were not close enough to visually see from the shore. So here's a solution. Basically, they took Silverhook telemetry application, and they got a lot of different information from the boat, not only from the boat, but also they even monitored the health of the driver. And the application here was built upon multiple Bluemix capabilities. They include the Internet of Things, a Dash database, and scoring. And they also created a real-time 3D rendering to enhance the fan and team experience, so the people could view it on their phone and kind of see like a real-life boat on the ocean as they were going and watch it that way. So they had real-time processing of the telemetry data to monitor the boat, and they logged all this information and the scores, and they generated alerts, and they could also do a better post-race analysis of what had happened during the race. And they also, another thing that was used within the, with the telemetry monitor is they can also monitor the boat for potential failure conditions as the race is going along. So with that, I think I'm going to try to do a quick little demo. Let's see. I was just going to mention about meetup groups here in Atlanta. I know they've had one or two, but if anyone's interested in Bluemix meetup group, that's something I think that if you talk to the people at the Bluemix group out table, then I'm sure that they would be interested in doing some more if people want to attend. I put these different links at the end as well. She's going to have, all this is going to be uploaded, so you can go later and check out the different links if you need to get further information about MQTT, Node-RED, or anything like that. So let's just go out to the Bluemix site and do a quick demo. I'm going to first go out and log out. I'm going to start as a new user going in, so you can see if you haven't registered before and you want to see what it's going to be like to. Let's go this one. Okay, so when you first go, you can sign up, and that would take you to the link where you can start your free 30-day trial. And if you already have an IBM ID, something that you use on the IBM sites, you're going to link and use that same ID here, so you would choose that option. Okay, now I'm just going to go back and log in with my ID. Up here, we'll note that there are different regions. We have Bluemix. I'm going to be working in the US, which I think is in Dallas. There's also one in the UK, and they have other ones planned soon, I think, in Asia, and some other ones opening, different software data centers that they're going to have. And And that's something that they plan to offer, is that, I know I said before about us having a dedicated Bluemix, so that people who have concern about putting in the cloud, sometimes certain companies or countries might have a problem with storing their data in other countries. So by having these staged across, different areas in the world, then you can also choose which Bluemix region that you're actually working in. Okay, this is the dashboard, is what you first see here. It shows the different applications that I have running, but I wanted to show you guys the catalog to start with. It's a little slow loading, but. So the boilerplate, this is one that I'm going to show you guys quickly how does it get started with the Internet of Things, but I'll just first go down and show that we do have a variety of different runtimes, that you can use different languages. You're not constrained to only use one language. You can use, whether it be Java, Ruby, different languages within Bluemix and runtimes. And here are some of the Watson cognitive services that we have available. There are also several mobile services, and Andrew Trice is going to be doing a mobile first talk after this one. He's going to be over in Volume A if you want to get some information about mobile first, and also a little bit about how that can be done in Bluemix. And we have Devops, web applications, data management, security features, and there at the bottom is our Internet of Things. So let's get started. Let's get started here. If you were to click on the starter kit here, and then you just create a name for it, and I'm just going to call it Devnexus Test, and you click Create, and that's going to go out and actually create an instance for you. Not only is it going to create the Internet of Things service, it's going to also create the sample Node-RED application and a cloud database, and those are going to all be bound together for you to use. And it's starting there. But I'm going to go back to my dashboard here. And now I should see that application in my dashboard. Yeah, here it is. It's not running yet, but when I open that application link, it's going to have a link at the top here that gives you the route. When you click that route, it will take you over and launch the Node-RED flow for you to use the sample flow. Oh, well, maybe not. Hold on, it's still staging. Sorry, I was a little too impatient. Tell you what, since that's taken just a few minutes, I'm going to go back to my dashboard and open another instance of it. Okay, so when you go to the Node-RED link, this is what you're going to see. It gives you a little bit of an overview about what is Node-RED and what it does. When you click this, it's going to actually take you into the editor so you can edit the sample that came with your boilerplate application. So the sample one that you get basically has the IoT input node. When you double click on it, it's going to open up the different information. This one is using the quick start device, and what I've done here is gone over, let's see, that's not the right thing. Let me find it over here. Okay. I think I typed in the wrong URL there. Hold on. Okay. Let's save that. Yeah, that's the sensor that I was talking about that you can use. So when you do the sensor, you would use the MAC address that comes up there to populate your device ID. One thing is you do have to make it all converted down to lowercase with no colons or anything. So basically that's our sensor that we're using, and the temperature is being checked here to say, currently it's saying, you know, if it's greater than 40 degrees or less than 40 degrees. Those are the thresholds that we have. And then it's going to route it either to this safe or danger. And that's where you could go in and change that if you wanted. Or you can also add other functions or output here. For example, you can add, there's even a Twitter node that you can put on. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, so you could put something like a Twitter node and put an output to that and have it tweet out if you hit a critical condition or something like that. We won't do that right now because the last time I did that, start flooding my Twitter feed with that info. So right now, if we go and look, for example, the debug is showing that the temperature is within the safe limits. But I want to make it show that it's not safe anymore. So it says it's 18 degrees. I'm going to make 15 degrees be the cutoff. And then I'm going to deploy that. Okay, so as it keeps getting the readings, it was showing safe. But now it started showing critical since I made that change to the threshold. So the other thing, you know, you can do this drag and drop. You can also, if you want to code it, and you can also import the info in here. You don't have to do it with the GUI. If you're someone who doesn't use the GUI and you want to just create the code normally, then it has an option. Let me forgot exactly where that is, but I know I've done that before, where you basically have a blank screen. You import, you create the Node.js yourself and imported it here into the GUI. So, okay, so let's go back to the Bloomix screen and just a couple other things. So you see the app health running here, and all the different applications that you have that are running, and if they're not, then you would be able to determine that from the dashboard. So I think that pretty much does it for my demo now. I guess if we have some questions or something want to go over. Yeah.
I noticed that you use the MAC address. I'm assuming that's as a sensor.
Yes, that in this particular for the quick start, because remember I said with the quick start we don't authenticate. So if you you can just use a MAC address, and we would take the information that's coming from that. Now in this particular case, I had the simulator, so it was outputting temperature information. I'll go back to that simulator just so you can see, because not only does it do temperature, but it does things like humidity. And you can adjust these temperatures up and down too. So if you don't want to change your code to do your testing, you can just go out here and change this up and down. So the MAC address I did use in this case, but if you have another device, so if you're doing a quick start, you would just put your MAC address in and you could do the testing that way. But if you're going to authenticate, you're going to actually have a device that you registered. Let's see if I have that website up, but
I think you mentioned there was a key in the token.
yeah. Let me see if I can find mine. Let me see if I can find that website quickly. I don't think so. Where is it? No, this is the internet things, but let me see. See if I can find it. Yeah, I'll find that info and I'll show it to you, but I can maybe even add that in later. But did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. You had mentioned that there were some REST APIs for interacting with this. Could you talk about that a little?
Yeah, I don't know if we have that out in the sample recipes, but I'm sure that if you send me an email, I could definitely get some examples for you. So the REST APIs are going to go and access the historian, and there are certain ways that you're going to, it's going to be stored under your organization, like I said, and there's going to be certain ways that you're going to need to connect and get that information for your specific devices. But yeah. So. Anyone else? Let me see if I can find that really quickly for you then. Okay, so this is, I might actually have some devices registered. Let's see, that I can show you. When you go out here and you log in, there's the quick start service, but if you were going to go out here and go to your devices, so these are some devices that I have registered now. And when I originally registered them, they did give me a key and a token, and that I've saved. So right now you'll see like my Raspberry Pi is red because I don't have it plugged in. I don't have it sending anything right now. Otherwise, if it were sending something, I would be able to see here in this output the information, the messages that it's sending.
So then, if you have two separate devices using the same key pair, would that show up on this dashboard too, or?
They would have their own separate token.
Well, I'm just assuming if someone somehow hacked into your device, or in particular with the MAC addresses, that's why I used to work in cable provision.
Okay.
And one of the biggest things that we saw when trying to moderate the data that people were using when they're doing Netflix is that people would steal the internet by cloning the MAC address.
Okay.
So they would clone it onto their device by hacking into the firmware of their.
Well, here though, it's just having the MAC address. It's not going to show up here because unless they have your specific token, they would have to also have copied your token over to wherever they're trying to clone that over, because it's going to authenticate that. So yes. So yeah, I think it shows, like, for example, if you were having, I'm the only one in here, but I think if you had a group, a team that was working together and we're all using the same devices, then they could all log in and see the same org information. So, yeah. And for example, so this up here, just to show you, this is the organization here. It's the 6 digits, and that's what will also be embedded when you're doing your connections and to the topics, and the devices are connecting you. That's the org that you're going to use in your connection. So when it's going to be a unique 6-digit, but there will also be, that's not the only thing it checks. It also checks the token and the keys. Yeah. But you can add other people to your org. It would just be each device would have its own unique token. And this goes back to show, there's also here, the service status here will show you if for some reason there is an issue with the service out in Bluemix, then it would be posted here if something's down. So if it's not working and you want to check there before you, but let's hope that that's not the case. But this is just the different recipes and things that we have now for different types of devices, and like the connect to quick start. That was how you could connect without having to use the API key or token. So, and like I said, they're always happy to get new ones for here. So that pretty much concludes it then, if you guys don't have any more questions. But I'd be happy to answer any questions later too if you want to come up to me. Okay? Good, thanks.